Ok, llegamos a Capitol, Minnesota, el edificio segundo más bello.
This is, when they built this building, they started building the state capitol in Minnesota in 1896. Now that's about 40 years after the Civil War. And the guy who designed this was a man named Cass Gilbert. This was his first big building. Okay? He did paintings to stay alive while he was getting his reputation. So this is his first big building. And he said, when this building is built, we're going to use white marble, and it's coming from Mississippi. And the state of Minnesota and the legislators said, pardon me, you're not going to use Confederate stone. He said, it's going to be so pure and so white that when people drive by here in their horses and buggies, they're going to stop and say, what kind of a building is that? And he won out. So all of this white marble, there's nothing like this in Minnesota. All of this stuff came from Mississippi. It's the only place it was. This is the first building in America, first state capitol in America designed for air conditions. Didn't cool it, understand, but they dragged the air from one end of the building to the other end and then forced it through a waterfall and recycled it back through the building itself. This was the first, now think of this is 1904 when this place was finished. 1904, this was the first state capitol in America that had electricity, and it was the first state capitol in America that had bathrooms for women. Because in 1904, if you were a lady, you were supposed to get pregnant and take care of the house, but not get involved in man's business, which was politics. Right? First state capitol in America. The golden statues at the very top, they've just been replaced. They were put up there in 1904, and they weren't taken down until just before 2000. When they took them down, they looked on the inside and said, my God, we're lucky they're still up there. Everything had rusted out on the inside of them. That's covered with real gold. The gold is about the thickness of the cellophane on your cigarette pack, if you've got one of those. And they put it on every 4 years. They replace it because it gets worn off with the snow and the rain and the sleet, the wind and the rest of it. That's called the progress of Minnesota, the quadriga. There's 4 horses, earth, water, air, and fire, and they're held in check by 2 ladies, one representing commerce, one representing industry, and the whole thing is moving forward. And there's a caisson that the horses are pulling, and on that rides a man with a sign that says Minnesota. It's corn and wheat and products. This was primarily an agricultural center. So let's go inside. I'll show you around. The dome, you should know, is patterned after St. Peter's in Rome, and it is in fact the largest self-supporting dome in the world.
What? Estamos adentro del State Capitol.
So this is the state capitol of the state of Minnesota. Begun in 1896 with $1 million. They gave Cass Gilbert $1 million. He said, this will be great. He said, yes, I can build a state capitol. 2 years later, he ran out of money. And the legislators said, well, what did we get for it? He said, we got a hole in the ground. That's really about all it was. So he said, I need another $1 million. So they gave him another $1 million. Now it's 1900, and the building is up. The building is up. It's gorgeous. If they walk inside, nothing is finished on the inside. Nothing. Yeah. They said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to put up some plywood walls. And they said, come on. How much? He said, another $2 million. So they gave him $2 million. Okay? You're going to see the stone that's in here, this light-colored stone, is all the stone that we were throwing away in Minnesota. It wasn't an architectural detail at all. And he said, what we're going to do is carve the stone, we're going to polish it, because it has a great deal. So they did that. And they did all the stonework on the inside, the rest of it, finished it. And he came in about $300,000 under budget, and he gave it back to the state of Minnesota. Right? So the Capitol Cathedral was all, or the Capitol was all done. That dome is up about 100 and some feet up. There's a glass chandelier that's in there. And that's lit only when there's a special occasion, when we swear in the new governor, when some big executive from the state of Minnesota or politician like Hubert Humphrey would be tasked with it. And it would be held right in here. The buyer would be here and people would pass through. And it's only held, there are something like 1,000 bulbs up there. And that, about once every 10 years, that thing is dropped down. Somebody goes inside, replaces all the bulbs, and then they drag it all the way back up again. When they built this, they told Cass Gilbert, "You're going to build a dome that's going to be the largest in the world." They said, "You know what it's going to do, don't you? It's going to leak like a sieve." And he said, "Pardon me?" And they said, "Look at how cold does it get when it's 32 below zero. That's here."